Hi everyone, welcome to Legally Yours. Today's episode is about commercial mediation, but in particular it's about how lawyers can utilise commercial mediation and why it's a benefit of them. And we're here with the gorgeous Nicole Davidson from Growing Beyond to understand the process more. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Karen.
Okay, so where do lawyers actually fit within this commercial mediation process? Because obviously historically it had always been part of the court litigation process. So if you were doing it previously with the parties, where do lawyers fit in that?
So lawyers are important for a couple of key reasons within the mediation. The first one is actually in getting to a settlement yourself. One of the key things in any negotiation is that the parties really need to understand, if we don't come to a resolution, what does this look like for us? So this is where the lawyers have a role in explaining the legal situation. So for example, one of the areas I do a lot of early intervention mediation in is shareholder disputes. So picture a scenario, you've got a couple of shareholders, they've now got different directions that they want to take the business in, it's all falling apart. They need to have an idea to say, well, what is the worst case scenario? If we can't resolve this for ourselves, what does it look like? They have to have an indication of the pain that's going to be involved, whether it's financial pain, the time, the stress, what's going to happen to their business at the end of this process.
Absolutely.
And for many of those types of disputes, while you're fighting out this dispute, the business has fallen apart and all your value is gone. So the lawyers have a really key role in helping people to understand that part of the dispute. What are we actually negotiating against?
Absolutely. And do you find often when you see the clients, or is it a mix of that they've seen lawyers before and then they come to you, or you see them first and then you're able to say, look, how about I refer you to a lawyer that can actually give you that? Is that sort of what?
It's a bit of a mix. So I've had both situations. I will sometimes say to the parties they need to go and see a lawyer before we get too far into the process as well, because they really do need to understand that it's always dependent upon where they are, where the relationship is. So I'll make a decision. If they haven't seen a lawyer already, I'll make a decision quite quickly. And then of course there are some lawyers that I will tend to refer to that I've worked with in the past and I know will give great service to those clients.
And then do the lawyers typically come into the mediation, or are they normally sort of a support on the periphery, sort of outside, and then what's their involvement?
So once again, I've seen all sorts of things from that. Sometimes the lawyers will have just given that advice and helped prepare, and the clients are comfortable enough to come in themselves. In some ways that can work really well because you're focusing very much on the commercial aspect. Other clients will want the lawyers in the mediation as well. And the part that I would always try and bring the lawyers in for, regardless of whether they've been in the mediation itself, is to actually document the settlement. And that's a really key part, because I think one of the things that stops people coming to a mediation is they're worried that they'll get an outcome and then it won't hold up. Somebody will breach it and they won't have rights.
That's right, and then the whole thing's been a complete waste. So what I'm hearing from you is that the lawyers are actually really key to the success of the mediation, and so it's really important that they are involved and with their clients as that support and sort of interpretation and understanding and guidance through. So what would you say if we take the client benefit out of it? What's the benefit to lawyers doing it rather than them just saying to the client, let's issue proceedings and let's get going in this court litigation process? What's the benefits?
Look, I think the benefits for the lawyers is in terms of assisting the negotiation, because a lot of great lawyers are out there trying to negotiate resolution rather than litigating anyway. But one of the things that gets stuck is the parties don't trust each other. We're in an adversarial process. There's a real resistance to sharing some pieces of information in case it might be held against us down the track if it doesn't settle. So the mediator gives you a really nice neutral person sitting in the middle. So part of my role in that is, I need to create trust in both parties so that I retain the information of both sides and I help the parties figure out ways to disclose sensitive information in a way that facilitates that negotiation and getting to an outcome, but protects their interests in case things don't go to plan. And I think that's the real benefit of having that independent person. The lawyers by themselves can't do that.
No, absolutely. And I can imagine as well, there's a time factor in this, in the sense that, when a lawyer's involved in a protracted litigation process, that's a lot of resources, time dedicated to one matter. But if you're actually encouraging your client or with your client within mediation and it resolves, there's there's an ability then, when you think about it from a completely business perspective, they can bring on more business, they can bring on more clients. They don't have to kind of be in this protracted 1, 2, 3 year process. And also I could imagine your relationship with your client becomes more of that trust relationship, because often, as we would know, when you're in litigation, the relationship can turn toxic pretty quickly when they are bleeding money, huge amounts of money, into fighting these things. So I would tend to think that, you know, the ability to be able to have that really great kind of trust relationship, which leads to more referrals.
That was just what I was about to say. I mean, there are a lot of people who talk about the fact that lawyers don't go to mediation because they want fees coming out of the clients. And I don't think that's the majority of lawyers. There are probably a few that are saying, why would we want to settle? But that's the minority. But, you know, the fact is, if you've got a lawyer who's given you great commercial advice and you've got a quick, acceptable outcome to a dispute, you're going to tell other people about that lawyer.
Absolutely. And if anything goes wrong down the track or in the process, you come back. Because that's your trusted advisor and they helped you through that process, and you know, you've wasted all that time, money and emotional stress. So much benefit to lawyers. So if you're a lawyer out there in the commercial litigation space and you would like to know more about Nicole Davidson and using her service at Growing Beyond, you can head to our platform at legallyyours.com.au. You can find Nicole there. And thank you so much. I've so enjoyed filming this series with you.
It's been a real pleasure,
and I think
Karen.
It's fascinating. I think what you do is such a vital service. And look, you know, I'm a true believer that this is the way that the legal industry is going, that there'll always be a form of mediation up front before you enter into court. The courts don't have enough space, time, all that sort of stuff. It's a win-win for everybody. So well done you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. Thank you.